This video is one of disagreements because the article we're going over here today says that the answer is yes. However, I'm saying over here, psych, that's the wrong answer. Because man, if the Vancouver Canucks even tried something like this, I don't know what I would do. First off, Jim Benning would never do this because he's so conservative with his trades. This is absolutely not something that I would even imagine being on the Canucks radar, but because it's in an article that actually got some traction on the subreddit and elsewhere on Twitter, I just wanted to talk about it here because, yeah, nothing else to talk about in Canucks land, eh? Podkolzin highlights, Höglander highlights, yeah, they've kind of been drying up a little bit, so let's go over just some of the weird rumors that people are talking about. And surprise, surprise, we're taking a little bit of a trip back over onto Fansided.com. This is the site where fans of sports teams write articles for other fans of those same sports teams. The previous two videos we made about Fansided articles were negative, because the previous one, it was a New York Rangers Fansided article talking about how the Red Wings need to suck it up at the draft lottery. The second one was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan-sided article talking about how the Montreal Canadiens are going to be the worst team in Canada. Both of those videos were just huge disagreements on my behalf, and this one, hey, it's no different. And before anybody comes out here and says in the comments, oh, Lego, what are you doing using your platform to throw shade at this one article and the writer and all that, that's not what we're doing here, man. The fact is, when people post articles online, when people display journalism at the highest level by posting it to the internet for other people to see, it gives me, it gives you, it gives other people who watch this stuff and view this stuff the right to critique, which is why everybody has the right to critique my own videos too. It's just whether or not those criticisms are justified, truthful, and or right that actually is a different issue. So for this one, the article we're going over here on Fansided is, should the Canucks try to trade for the Winnipeg Jets star Patrik Laine? And that article's title is a question. However, if you scroll down in the article, it says right here, the short answer is yes. The article starts out by talking about the whole Patrik Laine situation, whom, if you've been watching the videos on this channel, you don't need me to talk about. Relationships, they've been soured. Second line guy who wants first line minutes, he'd probably be a first line player on the majority of NHL teams. It's just the Jets are playing him on the second line. Paul Stastny was added on there too. He's a guy who will help out that Winnipeg Jets top six. And then the article also talks about the Vancouver Canucks, talks about JT Miller, Tyler Toffoli, where Jim Benning acquired top six caliber roster forwards who helped this team out in the time that they were here. And I say it like that because Tyler Toffoli's gone, JT Miller is not. Tyler Toffoli, man, hope he does well in Montreal. But the article talks about the Vancouver Canucks and their acquisition of forwards, talks about Patrik Laine, and then it says the two need to be connected, because it's a decision that Jim Benning should make. Just imagine a top six consisting of Pettersson, Horvat, Besser, Miller, and Laine. Well, who's going to be the last winger? Is it going to be Tanner Pearson? I don't know. The problem here is the return. Because the article notes it itself, it says that the Vancouver Canucks and the Winnipeg Jets are both in win-now mode because they've retooled their roster to the point where contention and worthiness of being a number one team this year is in the ballpark. And then the article talks about how the Jets' biggest weak link is defense, and they're going to want a capable top four blue liner in a potential Laine trade. The Canucks could offer somebody like Juolevi or Rathbone. Then they would also want a scorer. If Benning acquires Laine, Besser and Virtanen might become expendable. Okay, you don't need three right-handed wingers after all. I mean, that's the point of having them on the right wing, first and foremost. I don't know if this really needs to be explained, but you have four right wingers, you have four left wingers, and usually the right wingers are right-handed and the left wingers are left-handed. That's kind of how strong sides in hockey work. So I think the main combating perspective of, oh, you don't need three right-handed wingers to play on your right wing, I don't agree with that. Could a package deal centering around one of Besser and Virtanen and one of Juolevi or Rathbone work? The Canucks would probably have to throw in more, but a capable top six forward and a promising young D-man would have to be starting points. The article closes off by saying the Canucks are set on defense and in goaltending for the next little while, so if they want to make a move, it should be for a top six forward. Adding a superstar of Laine's caliber might give Vancouver the best top six in the NHL. For all we know, he could be the final piece of a championship puzzle. So if the Jets do make Laine available, the Canucks should at least make the phone call to see if such a trade is possible. That's the article's conclusion over there. There it is. Okay. Let's dissect that idea. First off, if the Vancouver Canucks are trading away a Brock Besser for a Patrik Laine, what exactly are you doing? You're making your top six consist of Miller, Pettersson, Laine, second line, Pearson, Horvat, Virtanen. I don't know how comfortable I am with Virtanen playing in a defensive-oriented role because the Bo Horvat line, traditionally speaking, is usually the most two-way centered line of the entire team. The Beagle line, Sutter line, the bottom six lines, they're usually either super defensive or nothing really at all. The Gaudette-Roussel line in the playoffs just didn't do anything, so we're gonna keep it at that. I just personally don't see Jake Virtanen as a guy who, playing on the second line of the Vancouver Canucks with Bo Horvat and Pearson, being able to fulfill all the qualities of being able to play on that line. Sure, maybe producing goals, he could do that. But that's the line that takes the important defensive zone draws when the other team has their empty net and they want to tie the game up late. That's the line that gets all the empty net goals. When Louis Eriksson is out there, who, I get you can say Louis Eriksson sucks or whatever, but at the end of the day, he's a good defensive player who does the little things right. It's why he has that nickname. That line goes out there and it does work. Do I see Jake Virtanen being able to suffice in a Louis Eriksson-like role while offense is still running high? I'm not sure. And you can't just say, okay, well, throw Virtanen on the first line with Pettersson and Miller and throw Laine on the second line. That was the entire problem of Laine in Winnipeg right now. The fact that he's on the second line with that squad, not playing with the number one Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor line that you have over there. You wouldn't make a trade for Patrik Laine, who is having a problem being a second line player, just to play him on your second line. That doesn't make any sense. So the other option is, okay, how about you just trade away a Virtanen instead? You put a Brock Boeser, who probably is a little bit more capable defensively, in that second line spot. You have a Rathbone or Juolevi, plus a Jake Virtanen, plus other stuff for Patrik Laine. The Jets don't say yes to that. They absolutely don't. We've said this several times, but the Jets are only going to say yes to a Laine trade that makes their team better now. And if you're trading away a Rathbone, that guy's not helping you out now. Olli Juolevi probably could to some capacity, but there's no guarantee of that. There absolutely is nothing in that trade, if it's Juolevi or Rathbone and Virtanen for Laine, that would make them say, yeah, that makes our team better today. If it's a trade like that, what you're doing to your team is essentially just swapping out Laine for Virtanen. That's not going to get it done. Unless you're giving away another big piece of your roster, which the Canucks shouldn't even be thinking about in a trade like this, you're not doing a trade that makes the Jets better, that you would actually be okay with doing. That's just not how it works. So, from both sides here, whether you trade a Virtanen and stuff for Laine or a Boeser and stuff for Laine, it's not going to work. And I don't really think it's the right move in general, because the price would be so high. Sure, adding a Laine to this team would make it better, absolutely. Having a Laine on your team is better than not having a Laine on your team. It's just whatever it would take to get him. That's the huge caveat to this entire discussion. Because, hey, I could come out here and say the Canucks need to go after McDavid. If they offer a 7th-round pick for Connor McDavid, yeah, it should be great, man. Like, of course it would work out like that. But, like, yeah, it just doesn't really make sense to me on either front. Because playing Laine on the Canucks second line, that's not going to fly. It's the entire reason there's even a controversy there in Winnipeg in the first place. And the different trade scenarios with the other players doesn't really work out. If it's a Boeser and stuff for Laine, I don't even know if the Jets say yes to that. Because Brock Boeser, while he can be very good, some people will say he probably has the potential to become what a Laine is right now. There's no certainty that makes you say, okay, trading away Patrik Laine and swapping Boeser into his spot makes the team better, because in theory it just doesn't, especially for the short term. So, yeah, that's my little rant, I guess, on the Patrik Laine trade idea that was brought over here on the Fansided. Talk to me in the comments what you think on whether or not the Canucks should go after Patrik Laine, because I don't really think it should be the move, especially with the trade idea that's brought up here. Oh, man, it's definitely something, taking a look at these Fansided articles, isn't it? Talk to me in the comments what you think if you enjoyed this. Wish I was 99. And bye.